Hello everyone and welcome back to the WTF1 podcast. I'm your host, Ray Harrison, and with me as ever is Charlie Williams. Say hi, Charlie.
Hello.
Normally, this is Hot Takes Wednesday, but we've got a very special guest with us on this edition of the show, and it's only F1 broadcasting legend, Mr. Martin Brundle. Hello, Martin.
How are you?
Doing very well. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very good. We're here at Sky doing all sorts of things today, pre-season.
Oh yeah, excited for the season to get underway?
Very, yeah. I think it's my 40th year in Formula One, so I'm looking, and whenever I get back to the paddock, I think, I'm home.
Second home.
Feels great.
Brilliant. Can't wait. So, on Hot Takes Wednesday, we got the fans of us on YouTube to send in some pretty outrageous statements regarding Formula One. We call them hot takes over here. And we wanted to give them to you and see if you either strongly agreed or disagreed with them. So, 1 being you strongly disagree, 5 being that you strongly agree. Okay?
Very good.
Sweet. So, let's get into it. Oscar Piastri will outperform Lando this year and replace Checo at Red Bull for next year. So it's a bold one. Oscar Piastri to obviously excel at McLaren to the point where maybe Red Bull goes sniffing. So what do you think of that one and the driver market in general?
Just this year he's going to do that. That's what it's saying. And this, I'm going to give that a 1. Strongly disagree. I think Oscar's top draw is clearly a star of the future. His junior racing speaks volumes, but you don't know how people are going to perform until they get in the spotlight. And some drivers grow in the light and the heat, and others wilt. And we'll see how he gets going. I don't think the McLaren's going to be fully on song for a while, by the looks of it. And Lando is absolutely world class. So if Oscar can hang on to his gearbox this year, I think that would be a good effort.
Put Oscar aside, do you think it's like a make or break year for Checo though, on the other side of that question?
I think Checo is the perfect foil to Max in that team, and I think commercially it makes a lot of sense for the team as well, obviously with any Mexican sponsorship. And the one thing about Checo Perez, about Sergio, is that he's old enough and wise enough and confident enough to not get fazed by Max Verstappen on the other side of the garage, unlike Alex and Pierre and all the people who struggle with Max's sheer speed. And I can relate to that because I was teammates with Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen.
Pretty good drivers.
Yeah, and when you've got them the other side of the garage, you're seeing their data, it's like, how did they do that and not fly off the racetrack? So, I don't think it's make or break for Sergio, but he's, look, last year he won Monaco. That victory in Singapore, any driver in the history of Formula One would love on their CV.
Amazing
it's an extraordinary drive. So I don't like judging any drivers until they've been in Formula One. And I don't like dismissing drivers too easily either, generally speaking, because it's very hard to become a Formula One driver. It's even harder to stay there and then get the success of somebody like Checo. So I wouldn't be too dismissive of him.
Lando Norris needs to leave McLaren to progress his career. Now, this is an interesting one. This is year 5, I think, now for Lando at McLaren. Do you feel like he's got to leave to progress with the way McLaren are at the moment?
I'm not going to be very popular with some of my friends here. I'm going to give that a 4.
Oh, okay.
So unless McLaren can turn this around, certainly within the next 24 months, and show that they can do so in the next 12 months. Of course, they've got the wind tunnel coming on stream, but that needs to be calibrated and rubbish in, rubbish out. So you still got to be putting good concepts into that wind tunnel. But I think McLaren are set fair to improve. Whether it's fast enough for Lando, I've got my doubts.
What did you make of that test?
It was the one car that looked a bit of a handful, wasn't it, the McLaren in the test? But you've got to remember, it's one test at one warm circuit that's got abrasive asphalt and rear tyre limited circuit. So it is. Let's not base everything on Bahrain, because you can go off on a wild goose chase there. I don't think it was quite as bad at McLaren as it appeared. That's my understanding, talking to people who should know. But they've got a lot of work to do, and they're nervous of being very much in the second half of the field for the first few races.
Fernando Alonso for the world title. Must be.
Which one? So I'm going to give that a 1. I think he could steal a race or two if there's a race to be stolen, a la Gasly or Ocon or Ricciardo in Monza, of course. He'll be there, or he'll be driving the wheels off it somewhere, and if he sees a glimmer of a chance, but that's too much to ask for. I think for Aston Martin to have turned it around that much to be championship contenders.
So what do you think they need to realistically do to challenge at the top?
So it's people, basically. I mean, budgets are pretty much controlled now, so they've got their new factories. It's a really massive job and they're handling it better than I thought they would, but to build a new factory, move into a new factory and keep racing in what's going to be the longest season in the history of Formula One, developing your car, your resource gets spread out. So if they can just somehow keep it all in balance as they transition into the new facilities and wind tunnels and what have you, then they'll have done incredibly well. But the thought of that kind of turmoil's too strong a word, but that kind of challenge that they've got going on at the moment, and to then take the fight to Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes is a tall order.
That's the end of our takes from our lovely YouTube fans out there, but we've got a couple of questions we wanted to get to Martin as well. Charlie, you had one you wanted to pass along.
I did. Do you think Formula One is moving more in the direction of sports entertainment, or is it still all about the racing? Or is there, can they both coexist?
I think they can coexist. So when the bottom line, because this is a perennial question: is it a business? Is it a sport? Is it entertain? Is it a show? What is it? Thing. So bottom line, it's got to entertain. Because if there are no fans, it's eyeballs watching whichever way you take in your Formula One. Then if there are no fans, there are no manufacturers, no sponsors, no circuits, no television channels or digital channels to cover it. So it has to be entertaining as the absolute bottom line. And then it has to be a viable business, otherwise it will fall over. And I think it has to be able to justify itself in the world, either with sustainable fuels or with with technology that transfers and electrical power that transfers to road cars or whatever. You need a mix of all of that, but if it's not entertaining and people are not watching it, the whole thing falls over.
Yeah.
But that's just about all we got time for this edition of the Hot Takes Wednesday. Massive thanks for Martin for coming on for us. Thanks to everyone who sent in your takes on social media as well. Stay around. Please subscribe to the WTF1 channel for plenty more content on the run up to Bahrain. Thanks for watching.